Wait, we can't. You're breaking up. We can't really hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear
Hello.
you. Go ahead.
All right.
Hello.
Yeah. I was saying that first of all, before you even get to that point, you should have done a little bit of research, to kind of have a fair understanding of how much masters are paid in the market. Check the state, the rate is quite similar, but how much masters are paid in the state. Have a fair understanding of the rate, whether annually or whether hour. So when you get to just start, you get talking to the recruiter, and then you
We
start
still
asking.
can't hear you clearly, sir.
All right.
Your lines are actually breaking.
Hello?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, I had to move the laptop.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to start all over again, okay? I'm saying, first of all, before you get to the point of even talking to the recruiter, you should have done a little bit of research. You could run just a Google search on Glassdoor or just a normal Google, question that how much Scrum Masters pay in the state or in the United States. So, I mean, Google will give you a fair understanding of the range of, how much Scrum Masters are paid annually or per hour. So, with that being in mind, too, when you start talking to recruiters and start asking you how much you want to pay, what I do is I ask them, how much does the client is the client going to offer, for this rate, for this role? So based on how much they tell me, then I kind of be able to gauge the level of how much these people are willing to pay me, and then I just let them know how much I want to pay. I mean, you don't need to get, and then when you're doing this negotiation, you need to not only think about only about the money, you need to be asking about the benefits that you have to offer, like healthcare, paid time off, and all those stuff. You have to ask those questions to understand if you have these benefits attached to it. So that you don't be focusing only on the pay. You need to be nice, and then try to not get too emotionally involved in this, and not try to not shoot too much to the skies. You have an understanding of how much is being paid. So let's say you check and you notice that pharmacists are paid for maybe $55 an hour to maybe $75 an hour, right? And then you ask this recruiter how much are they willing to pay per hour, and it says $40 an hour. You should know that no, this person is trying to give you something that is not realistic. So based on that, you can let them know, okay, I'm going to maybe take 55 an hour, and then from there the conversations will start talking. Some of them will let you know, oh, this money you're giving is too high. Um, it's way above budget, and then they will give you an amount. So you'll be able to give like an average, okay, I'm willing to take the 55 or the $50 an hour. So that is how I actually um deal with such situations. That's my take.
Okay, thank you for that. Does anyone want to add addition to that? All right, so I don't want to be the only one doing the talking today. So if we're
I
not
can add
talking, I'll be
something.
pointing fingers.
I think
Ogum here, I can add something.
okay.
Thank you, Ogum. Go ahead.
Yeah, normally by the time I'm being submitted for a role, I've checked the job description. I see how many years of experience they want, what the job entails. So by the time I'm talking to the recruiter, I'm prepared to negotiate. So I normally tell them that when I look at what the role entails and I compare with my years of experience, for example, if they want a Scrum Master with 7 years experience, I will tell them that I even have 9 years experience, or just I look for something to compare to give me an edge, and I use that to sell myself. So I was like, I have this number of years of experience, or I've worked in this different different domains. So I have very valuable experience that I'm bringing to the table. So I'll use that edge that I have based on the job description that I've really analyzed to tell them that, to negotiate and tell them that based on that, I'll be bringing a lot to the table, and I need more. I always tell them that I think I know, not I think, I deserve more than what they're putting on the table. So the key thing for me normally is to really review the job description, and I'm talking to the recruiter, I look at what gives me an edge that I can then use to negotiate for a higher salary. I never settle for what they give. These people always lowball us. There's always more. They can always add a few dollars more on top. So just look for what gives you an edge based on that job description, and sound as like an expert when you're talking back to them and tell them that you have an edge and they bring more on the table than what is required of that job. Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you, thank you. Great point. In addition to that, all right. So, right, the question started with as a scrum master, right, or even anyone for that matter, when the starting point, right, the first stage of getting the job or starting the job, right, when the recruiter reaches out to you asking if this is the job they're presenting and all of that, having that first conversation and interaction with you and presenting the job to you, right, um a research that was done, and I'm probably going to post that link in the group chat, right? It mentioned that it's important to know your value, right? Sometimes we we need to understand how are we measuring our value when it comes to being a scrum master and presenting ourselves possibly for a job, right? One is important to know your value, right? Value in the sense of how much years of experience that I have, right? Value in years and value in knowledge. Those two things. Oh, Lola, thank you for putting your video on. Awesome. So two things, right? Knowing your value in years and knowing your value as far as in your knowledge, right? So it's important to know those two things. When I'm saying I have 5 years of experience, I should be expecting more pay than someone who has 1, 2, 3 years of experience, right? And also, if I'm on my resume, if I'm saying I have 9 years of experience, I should be getting paid something worth of 9 years of experience, right? Because that's what I'm planning to bring to the table. So if we kind of pointing back to the point that Felix make, doing your research, if you know that a Scrum Master role, the starting point is maybe $50 is normally the starting points, right? But then every organization is different, right? So having that in mind and comparing that with the years of experience that you're saying you have, because sometimes too recruiters will present something to you, right? Sometimes it's also a tester. If you're saying you have 9 years of experience and you're willing to take $50 an hour, what is that saying about you? So it's important to have that in mind. Know your value when it comes to the years of experience that you're stating or you said you have, right? If I say I have 9 years of experience, I should be expecting something in the high range, right? So always have that in mind. Now, my knowledge, that brings a lot of power. And kind of touching back, I believe whether it's Ogum that mentioned it, right? If you're saying you work in finance domain, you work in health domain, you work in all of these domains, right? That means you have a really, really good knowledge of different diversity of experience that you can bring into that organization. So tap into that and use that as the second point when it comes to having those conversations with them, right? Have your thoughts together. Know the pointers that you want to use when you're having that conversation with them. And also having in mind, right, my value. So oftentimes when a recruiter comes and they say, "Oh, this is that we have this job," or say all this good stuff about the job, right? Felix also mentioned the point. Always when they ask me a question, I always reflect it back to them. So this is what would you like us to put you down for? And I will ask them a question, right? Always reflect a question to them. Never go directly and say, "Oh, $50 is fine with me. You're setting yourself up for failure. Never say that directly, because sometimes the job might actually be $70, and you just told them $50 right there. That means they don't even have to do any work. They will just, oh, 50, okay, that is it. That's what we're going to put you down for, right? So never go directly to giving them a particular amount of, oh, this is what I want, right? Now, as a senior scrum master or as someone who's very knowledgeable, sometimes you can go ahead and give them directly, right? Because you know this is exactly what I'm looking for and anything above. So sometimes you might say, I want $75 and above, right? That's okay, because you already told them you're not going down below 75, because you already know that based on your experience and knowledge that you have is worth $75 and above. So you already did your research and you already are mature in the sense that you know what you want. However, if you're starting up, or even if you're still in the market, or even if you've been experienced, right, it's important to always have that range for them, or reflect the question back to them and say, well, what are they offering? Right? Give me a range that you're offering. Right? I always like using the word range, right? Because if you tell them, give me what you're offering, they'll say, okay, well, we're offering $55 an hour. Well, that means I will have to take $55 an hour then if you're telling me that's what you're offering. However, if you ask them what are the range you're offering, right? It leaves gap for them to give you the minimum and the highest. It gives you the option to for them to give you the minimum and the highest that they're offering. So then that way, maybe if they say, well, we're offering 60 to $65 an hour, then of course your best option is to always go for the higher range, right? Never settle for the lower range. Even sometimes you might meet some recruiters who might say, well, don't you think you should do 60, so that way at least compared to other people we've submitted, or compared to other people they took 60, then the 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 company will be more likely to select you because you're putting in a lower rate. Don't fall for that, right? Well, if you're new into Scrum and you really want the job, right? Because then that's also the next topic we're going to talk. New versus already practicing Scrum Master. But oftentimes, don't fall for that, right? If you know your value and you know what you're worth, stand by it. Because at the end of the days, you'd be surprised that some of those recruiters probably making almost the same amount you're making, and you're the one doing the job. So you'd be very surprised. Now, going back to the next topic, as far as in new Scrum Master versus mature Scrum Master, how should you go about negotiating salary and prices or offers with recruiters or job offers? So one thing I would also say is that as a new Scrum Master, right, it's important to know your value, but at the same time, don't be selfish. Right? I always say, do not be selfish. If they're offering you something, as far as it's something that is reasonable, if you've done your research with the company, right? Even sometimes they Glassdoor, they oftentimes will give you a range of what that company normally offers Scrum Masters. So do your research. What does the company normally offer their Scrum Masters, right? And also, what range should a Scrum Master with certain years of experience should be accepting, right? So it's important to do your research on that. And also compare yourself to how knowledgeable I am. Read the job descriptions. The things that they're asking me, am I very well equipped in what I'm supposed to be offering when I go into that job, right? So if they're asking for you to be technical, that means they're expecting those knowledge and skill set when you join as a scrum master, right? And also that means that the pay should be equivalent to that too, right? If they're telling you they need you to manage 2, 3 teams, that means the pay should reflect to that compared to if I'm only going to have one team, right? So all of that is important to have in mind while you're doing that negotiation or talking to them, right? And also, when you're a new Scrum Master, right? This is your first time stepping into the job. Don't be selfish. Don't be greedy, right? Take it as a learning milestone. I'm trying to come in so I can gather whatever knowledge and experience that I can get and see where I'm at also with my knowledge and experience and see how I can grow with the team. So I always tell Scrum Masters that I normally either coach or teach or whatever the case may be, and I tell them, accept even if they give you something low, as long as it's not ridiculously low or something that you know, okay, you guys are just doing the most, right? It's okay. As long as you're taking that as I'm stepping in as an experience, right? Because at best, I'm pretty sure they're probably going to be paying you more than your prior job. So it's okay accepting it and do that for maybe however months or year you feel like you're comfortable doing that. And then if you want to venture out when you feel like, okay, I've gotten my feet wet and now I can go ahead and start swimming, right? So it's important to be mindful that you're not greedy and you're not selfish, right? Especially if you're new into Scrum and this is your first time accepting a job as a Scrum Master. So when you're having that initial conversation with them, always ask them what is the range, do your research, know your value, all of that, right? And have that conversation with them. And then, of course, like part of what Ogum said, right? Tell them about your experience. That also comes with confidence because when you know your worth, right, you're able to comfortably speak of it. So always let them know that you have that experience, right? Even sometimes those recruiters want to see how confident you are, right? Sometimes they will tell you, oh, we'll check and we'll call you back. Oftentimes they just need that's part of their plan, right? And more than likely they will probably call you back based on how you've presented yourself. Another thing too that the article pointed was that you shouldn't be you should be confident in the sense that if I say yes, let my yes be yes. And if I say no, let my no be no. Don't be intimidated in the sense that you're desperate for a job because they smell that too. When they know that you're desperate for a job, the likelihood of them calling you back to say, okay, we're going to go with a different price is going to be slim because they know you want this job and more than likely you probably reached out to them for it. So it's important to not show desperation, right? Be willing to walk away, willingness to walk away, knowing that I know my value and I know what I'm worth. And if you don't take me, I'm sure someone else will. And someone else that I'm going to be joining will probably benefit from the experience and the value that I do have to offer, right? So those are some of the things to be mindful of. Does anyone have any other additional points? And if no one does, I'm going to pass the mic to someone else.
Uh, I just want to quickly add something. I had a conversation with a developer, and I was like, I need this job, I don't mind, to start anywhere, if he was like, hey, calm down, you know, don't go too cheap, because that's a red flag to them. They might just look, this guy just need this job to come and mess us up. So sometimes you have to like balance it, even in real life experience, not only in Scrum Master and other job, you have to try to like balance it. But like Felix said, you have to be nice. Don't be too arrogant. Don't be too confident. You have to like balance it. So that's my little contribution.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it sounds like you're kind of going back to desperation, right? Don't show that you're desperate for that job, right? You need to compose yourself and have a sense of confidence in yourself. So that way you're able to present yourself and you'd be surprised. Confidence says a lot about who you are and even make them think you're very knowledgeable or you know more than you even know. So sometimes just being confident goes a long way. Does anyone else have a point that they would like to make? And if not, you all know I always love picking on someone to go. So if no one wants to volunteer, I will be happy to pick someone. Does anyone have any pointers? Hello, Frank. Thanks for joining. Long time. Does anyone want to make a point? Lady Anne, do you want to go ahead and make a point or tell us an experience you've had?
Yes, ma'am. Can I say no to you? No. So you have said most of the things, but just to emphasize, you need to go in with, you need to negotiate with confidence. Because if you're talking and you're panicking, it looks like you're desperate, right? And the no, somebody who is desperate is somebody who can lead the company down. You want to sound confident. And that will also depend on what you bring to the table. Like during your interviews, you can actually tell if you nailed that interview or not. And if you see them rushing to you every time, maybe after you interview today and the next day they're coming back to say, okay, second interview. Then they're coming back the next day and say, hey, final interview. Immediately after that, they're giving you an offer. It means you nailed it. Then you have to go in confidently and say, this is how much I want. And that depends also on the years of experience that you have. Because if I have 3 years experience on my resume, I have 5 years experience, I have 7 years experience or 9 years, the way I negotiate is going to be different, right? The more years you have, the more money you have to ask. And then you have to do a good research as well on the company, the organization. There's some organizations that really have the dough to pay, you know, and even when they're going through the recruiters, you know that I've given these recruiters some percentage. You have to ask confidently. I'll give you an example. I had 2 offers. The first one came and the pay was good. The second one came, but it was like $5 less than $5 an hour. I'm talking about an hour. $5 less than the first offer. And it was still good. But I told them, hey, I can't take this because the organization I'm working for, no, some other organization I just interviewed with gave me this amount. And I can't take less than that. If you're not able to meet up to this, and I actually added like $8 on $8 more than what that first company actually gave me. And I told them that's how much the organization is giving. You know, you have to be confident when you're doing that. And they didn't argue, they just gave it to me. So you have to be confident with your number of the years of experience that you bring to the table and how much you must go into your interviews with confidence on the Scrum process. So before going to an interview, you have to make all this research, and then sometimes you have to ask them how much the organization is willing to pay. Yeah, but don't go cheap. Don't go cheap. But sometimes I'll also say when you are new to Scrum, you just want to take it and have your experience. 6 months down the road, you change. It's not bad to start with 50, I would say. It's not bad to start with 45. It just depends on you. If you're not that confident, then you can start with 50. But then 6 months after, you should be able to start shooting 60, 65, 70, 75. That is my advice.
Thank you, Lady Nat. At least now we know that you make $108 an hour. So thank
Oh
you.
my goodness.
Maybe then I'll be coming,
I
reaching out
like that. Yeah,
for
she
some
should
of
be
that.
sharing money.
Yes.
Seriously, lunch on us, lunch on you, Lady Anne.
You know, Lady Anne?
Sorry, what did you say?
Lunch on you tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, sure. If you
Okay,
can come to me
35
together,
people on here.
that's fine.
Okay. No less
I'll
than $20 meal each, right?
send my,
Oh,
I'll
no,
send
I
my
can take
cash
them.
app. Cash app.
But I'll send you my cash app first so you can wire the money and then, you know.
Not so. All right. Any other tips or ideas?
I just want
So,
to ask a general question. How many years do you think you can be in a role for you to start looking for another job? What would be you guys' advice?
Who wants to take that?
Well, I think it depends. 6 months to a year. The only downside to that is if you if you don't stay like a little longer in a place. I mean, if you're leaving the first place you work after 6 months or 1 year, that could be good. But if it becomes a pattern, it could be hard to get another job. I see recruiters and people, they always like curious as to why you keep leaving after 1 year or, in 6 months or so. But if it's just like a one-time thing, I would say once you're comfortable, in your role, now you're having the daily stand up, you're doing all the practicals of everything you learned in theory, and you now think, you know enough to look for another opportunity. I've seen people leave after 4 months. I've seen people 6 months, but I always advise, like a year, if you can just like swing it for a year, if you can, but 6 months is also good. You can definitely leave. That's my opinion, though. I don't know.
Mary, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any additional input? All right, so moving on to the phase where you gave them amount that you would like to be paid, and they submit you, right? Because they normally will send you the confirmation, the right to represent confirmation, right? Or rate confirmation, confirmation. You confirm it, maybe you do your interview, and they offer you the job. Do you think it's okay to ask for more? And if so, why? And how has any Scrum Master in here dealt with that situation?
You mean ask for more once you accept the offer or before you accept it?
No, when they when they send the right to represent and you sign that, yes, I'm willing to take, I don't know, $55 an hour, and you did the interview and then they come and they offer you the job, but then you feel like, I actually think I deserve more. Or maybe you now have another offer. But before we go to when you have also have another offer, let's talk about what if you feel like, okay, I think I deserve more, or maybe you feel like you took lower because you were just anxious, or maybe you were just desperate, or you just wanted something, but now you're like, okay, maybe I should have actually asked for more because I know they have the ability and capability to offer more. How do you do, or what do you do, or should you even ask for more?
Um, that's tricky because that would be like, to me, I think that would be being greedy. Yes. What you can do is start, and after a while, you can negotiate your salary. You can definitely do that. But I think if I was a recruiter or the organization, I wouldn't like the fact that we already agreed. You didn't say anything. Now we offered you, you accepted the offer. It's more like, you're trying to play smart. So that's what I would do. I wouldn't want to do that, and I would not advise anyone to do that. But I'm open to, people's experience and suggestion. But then if you have multiple offers, then
Wait, let's not talk about the multiple offers
okay.
yet. Let's hold
Yeah.
on that. We'll get back to you
Okay,
on
so
that
I
one.
see so many people raising their hands.
Yeah.
So let's
Okay, Runzi, you have your hand up. Do you want to go first, and then Chanel?
Yes, thank you. So, Mary, I do get your point, but how about if it's a situation where during the interview with the client, you come to realize that the job responsibilities are actually more than what was in that job description?
Then I
think,
won't.
yeah, I think I
Sorry.
would definitely, yeah.
then I won't accept the offer until they increase to what I want. I would not wait until I accept that offer. I will just tell them outrightly, this is more than I thought it's gonna be. So I think we need to renegotiate the salary. It's different from
So
me
would
accepting.
you say that during the interview or after
I would say
the job
that
has been
after the
offered?
interview, if they offer me now, I will say, okay, can we renegotiate the salary? But I won't sign the offer before I ask for that.
So that was actually going to be also the next question. What if you start the job and you see that the needs are more than what you initially thought? What would you do? But let's pause on that question, and then I think Chanel has her hand raised, and then we'll start answering some of those other questions.
Hello, everyone. So my answer to the question is I would renegotiate the salary if I'm willing to lose that job. If you know in your heart that that's the money you want and you're willing to lose that job, then you renegotiate. But if you want the job, then I would just accept the salary because you should have renegotiated. You should have negotiated that initially. But again, if you're willing to take the chance and you don't want the job that much, then I think it's fine because what do you have to lose if you
Right.
don't, if you're not getting what you want? So I
Yeah.
would say yes, it's okay if you're willing to lose it. Like if you're willing to take it as a loss, renegotiate. If you need it and it's a good job, take what they give you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I see someone maybe disagreeing with that. Do you want to speak up?
Speak up.
Speak up.
Mo
Hold
is
your
raising
mind.
his hands.
Can I
I'm
add
sorry.
then? Oh, who was that? Sorry.
Mo is raising his hands, I guess.
Okay.
Oh, Mo, go ahead, and then Felix.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting thing. So like I'm in that kind of situation actually.
Okay.
So when I got the job, so they hire me as a Scrum Master. So now I'm working now. They said that I'm also Jira administrator. And now they have added another team. First, it was one team. So the other Scrum Master, she left. So they gave me her own team. So now I'm having two teams and I'm also the Jira administrator. So I was thinking about this thing, for me to talk to my manager. Okay, now I have more responsibilities. And based on the initial arrangement was one team. I'm not a Jira administrator and I don't have the other team. Now I'm a Jira administrator. Now I have another team. But I have this fear in me, whether for me to talk to her to raise my pay, or I'm just a little bit confused. So I'm so happy that we have this kind of topic, so that I can learn from you guys.
Can I answer that or add something to that? This is Chanel.
Sure,
I would make sure you're performing to expectations and exceed expectations before you renegotiate. Because if you're an underachiever, then it doesn't make sense.
So
Am I echoing?
yeah.
Hold on.
So yeah. That's a good one actually. In terms of the performance, I'm performing because
I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, I said in terms of the performance, I'm performing because the teams, they reach out to her. Oh yeah, we like him. He's so positive, and she also reached out to me. She said, the teams, they actually like you. Keep it up. Things like that. So I'm having praise even from the dev director, all of them. They actually love me. In the organization. But like I'm just kind of a little bit fear to talk to them, okay, now I'm having a lot of responsibility dealing with people in Mumbai because of the team, they're in Mumbai. I was like getting up very early in the morning, Jira administrator, what's going on, But I have this fear in me to talk to them. All this shit going on with speaker.
Then I would go for it. Because when they like you, that's half the battle. Because sometimes you can be a poor performer, but I would go for it.
And if I can add that, Oh, months is occurring. All right, if I can add to that, with the pattern of saying in the American, industries, um, it's 50-50 if you go to your manager. I mean, yes, you should go. Normally every organization, I don't know, after a year, they're gonna like increase your salary. So if you're past 1 year and that is not happening, that might be a conversation you want to have. If you are not like, I've gotten to the 1 year mark and you're close, I would say maybe, wait a little. But one technique that works right now so well, if you're sure you're performing, just like Chanel brought up, is you having another offer like in your hands, right? Like you have it. And then you can say, I have this offer, And a lot of times I have seen people go to their manager and, they said no, the company, we're not making a lot of money and all of that. And you're saying, this is how much I want. I think this is how much I'm worth, and they are declining. But once you have an offer, they're just going to like increase if they don't want you to go. But I said it's a 50-50 because if you're not like, very important to them, so to say, and they feel like they can replace you easily, they will just say, okay, thank you. But, but yeah, but if you're sure, I mean, you should be getting a lot of like real praises and work with your manager to get a feedback, like a personal feedback and all of that. And then you might want to try that. But you with an offer always helps. So if you get tired in an organization, I'll say keep your foot out, and make sure you have a better offer. But it's something you can do, definitely if you're performing. I mean, it's always good to renegotiate. You can't keep getting the same amount, like continue to have the same amount every year. So that's my take.
Can I add one more thing to what you just said?
Yeah.
I wouldn't wait a year. I would probably give it maybe 90 days because the echo is bad. Y'all hear it?
Yeah, I
Go
think
ahead.
coming from Mo. Mo, could you mute yourself, please?
Oh, okay.
I think they should mute his speakers.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I would probably wait 90 days because depending upon the organization, they'll give you probably a 60 or 90-day review. And some organizations will increase your salary based on performance after that. So I would look as to when your first review is. If it's a year, then I would go for my ask for increase when the review is, if that helps. But again, it depends on the organization. And I would ask around also. I would get to know who's who and ask questions, so you can find out a little more about the organization, because some organizations won't do that at all. I mean, you won't know because people don't tell you, but I don't know. I would try and indirectly ask questions around, to try and gauge whether I should do it or not also. Thank you.
That's right.
All right, any other input?
So another thing is, well,
Hi.
at your interview, I don't know if we have Scrum Masters that are helping or leading just one team. I think the general idea is that you would have at least 2 teams. So personally, I wouldn't think having a second team is necessarily like an additional job, but that depends on what your agreement was, at the time you were getting the job. So I just want to say that, like, I mean, um, having 2 teams is not all that bad. But when you're having 3 teams or more, that's when you want to talk. And being a jury administrator, I don't know if that's a special role or something, but I mean, if you're a Scrum Master, you would definitely work with jury. But I mean, if it's different from what the job description says, yeah, go for it. But I just don't want us to be like, okay, once something little change, you know. So I just want to add that.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Runzi, you had something to say? Ronzi, are you here?
Yeah, sorry. I was just trying to get off mute. Yeah, no, I was just listening to the conversation, but I just feel a little bit of it was not really responding directly to what he said, because my feeling is the job, I guess, changed quite significantly from when he started. And being, I don't think being a Jira administrator, I don't know if it's just necessarily for his teams, but if you're a Jira administrator, I would be thinking it's for, maybe if it's the people on that train, everybody that you work with. So it just sounds like extra responsibilities because they have found somebody that is capable and is well liked, but is it fair? And I think a year is too long to wait. 90 days seems reasonable, where you can say, okay, look, you have, he's obviously performing well because they keep giving him these extra responsibilities. But I would say don't wait too long to complain. I mean, well, not to complain, but don't wait too long to let them know that you're aware of what they're doing, and that if you don't have a problem doing the work, that they really should reward you for the extra load that they've given to. That's all.
Okay. And I also think when we say Jira admin, can we define that a little bit? When we say the role as a Jira admin, maybe that can also help shed some light. Mo, when you said Jira admin, what exactly are you doing?
So, so I'm the one that is responsible to set up the dashboards, build projects. If anybody like teams in New York, they want to use Kanban, Scrum board, I'm the one that is responsible to do all those things. So if someone is having problem with his filter or a filter, I have to go in and check in and see what's the problem and fix it for the person, you know. So yeah, so I'm doing all those things. So if someone wants to say, okay, I want to use Kanban board, Scrum board, I'm the one that is responsible to do all those things for them. Even if the person is in Oklahoma, I have to do all that job for the person, So I'm in California, but anybody that wants to use Jira will reach out to me, all those things. Yeah. If there is any problem, I have to go in and check if the person is having permission or what is wrong with the person, all those kind of things happening in Jira, so I'm responsible for that, so yeah.
Okay, and it seems like it's not just limited to your team, right? It's actually everyone on or in that organization. Is that accurate, Mo?
Hello?
I was saying that it seems like it's not just in your team, right? It seems like
No,
it's also everyone in the organization.
anyone, even the ones in England, Germany, Mumbai, Oklahoma, all over the place. They'll just send this rubbish email.
Okay, well that then that is up to you to have that conversation then if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's kind of too much. I have to get up very early in the morning, talk with those guys in Mumbai, all those things. So it's so crazy. I was like, damn, but I'm having a lot of fear in me to talk to them. Okay, I have more responsibility now. We have to negotiate this whole thing, because this was not the initial plan, when I took the job. So now dealing with people in Germany, dealing with people in Mumbai is crazy. Yeah.
I think the next question should be, how should we renegotiate our salary? So it's confirmed more. You do have to renegotiate with your boss. But I think how you go about it is something we cannot like learn together from maybe people that have done it before or people that have experience. I don't know if
Yeah,
you track, but I know that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Also, I would say mode. It's the right place, right situation, type of thing. Or it depends on the relationship which you have with your boss. Like maybe one day in a casual conversation, friendly environment, you could bring that up, easily and see how she approaches it. Don't be harsh about it. Don't come off too hard. Just bring it up in a casual way and see what she says. Sometimes people are understanding, and like you said, your responsibility went from 0 to 100 real quick, and you just have a pleasant way of bringing it to her and see what she says.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hello, Humphrey. Thanks for joining us. Okay, well, I think that's a valid point, and we should actually have a conversation about it. How should Mo go about renegotiating? Because I don't think that is even negotiating. That's more of me renegotiating his salary. And we have Margaret in the house. Margaret, long time. Go ahead. You have your hand raised.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hey, Vicky.
I
So,
will find you. I will find you, but that's conversation for later.
I know. Well, see, my advice here is go with what Mary initially said. Yeah, it's clear that you have additional responsibility, right? And if you have another offer, fine, then push. It's a win-win thing. They probably will or will not want to increase your pay. So, but if you have something else to back on, that helps you. So fine. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Margaret. Patrick, you have your hand raised.
Yes, please. Can I ask more a question? I don't know how close is more to the supervisor. At times when you're in the light mode, not really at work, you could just throw in a tantrum. Say, boss, I'm working so hard. What do you think? Don't you think I need a raise or something? Depending on how close you are, then you'll be able to have the feelings of how she feels or how he feels about losing your salary. That will give you an idea if you have to discuss it officially or not. In addition to what Lady N had said, once you have a good job, you have a potential to negotiate because they will not want to lose you based on the individual comments that the manager had over time. So you could have two-edged sword. Find out from her indirectly. When you're on a light mode outside the office, if you bond together, and then also try and get another offer that will probably put you at a super high, because naturally no employer wants to increase salary. Naturally no employer wants to increase salary. So it's either you get it from them, you have to walk through it and get what you want. So you must determine a way of getting it done, otherwise you'll stay on the same grade, and they will keep increasing your responsibility, because once you're performing, you're likely to have additional responsibility over time, without the additional reward. It's natural for most organizations, except few ones these days that are modern. So more must determine a way, even whatever the kind of advice you get on the floor, you must look at your environment where you work. That will determine how you want to go about the whole situation. Thank you.
Hi guys, it's Felix. I just wanted to add something.
We can't hear you well, Felix.
Sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
All right, thank you. So when we get our offer letters, right, and then it has our job description, usually there's a clause at the bottom part of that job description that says any other responsibilities that you are given. So please, we should be mindful of that clause. that is why sometimes you might find yourself in situations where the organization will be adding other responsibilities for you to do. I mean, Mo said he feels he's an Jira admin. Well, my organization too. I'm basically a Jira administrator too over there.
Yeah.
But the thing
So,
is, basically, the responsibilities he mentioned, creating dashboards, assisting people with queries, I see that as something like Scrum Masters do daily. I mean, so sometimes if you find yourself you find other people from your companies reaching out to you for assistance. Me, I see that as a plus, that they see my worth. They see that I'm a Jira guru, So more people are coming in. So when we started this conversation, we said what? Know your worth, right? So now you know your worth. You know that these people see that I'm valuable to them, right? Now it goes back to what? If you want to renegotiate your salary, um, Mr. Patrick just said what we should know, gauge the relationships we have with our managers. It's very important. If you and your manager is not free, I'm telling you, you cannot go and ask for this. You feel some type of way. But if you build some type of good relationship, you could be able to go to the person. But the thing is, the timing of renegotiating too is very important. We have to time it. Chanel said what? You have to look at your organization and see, do you guys do 90 days appraisals? Do you do 30 days appraisals? That is the time you could use as an opportunity to jump in when you're having a conversation or when you're offered a raise. Usually at that time, they give you a raise. My organization to do 90 days. Your manager will call you in. Oh, we're planning to give you a raise this amount, this percentage. What do you think? That moment you could jump in and say, okay, I think maybe if you guys could, raise this percentage of raise, it would be very helpful. When you bring those pointers during those time, they take note of it, because it goes a long way to get that raise. They might be thinking of giving you 2%, but you bring points. It's like, oh, it's true. Felix, you're right. You're doing this, you're doing that. It will give you 5% raise. So you have to gauge the situations you have with your managers, the relationships you have with them, and also the timing is very important. Now, as a new Scrum Master, right? Let's say you, as Victoria said, you're given an offer letter, and then you negotiated, and then they said over 100K. Now the letter is in your hands. Now you've noticed that I can get more than this. You can talk to HR. There's no harm in saying, oh, I'm very happy for this offer of 100K. But looking at the market, I think it would be nice if you guys could give me 120K. I'm telling you, jokingly, as I said, be nice. If you're nice, there's so many ways you could convince people to do what you want them to do. It has happened to me before, and I'm saying from experience, I was offered something and I jokingly spoke to HR. She said, "But you said you wanted this amount." And I'm like, "Oh, I'll be very happy if it's increased to that amount." And trust me, they increased it for me. So those are my words. Thank you.
um, well, that was really good. Um, what I want to add to that is, if your organization, if you have, I mean, every organization do this town hall meetings, or we call it different names, you would know if they're doing well or not, at least. So if they're meeting targets, they're getting sales, then you probably know something good should be coming. So you should have that. What I believe is, whether they're doing anything or not, after a year mark, you should have that discussion. They should at least give you a raise. And I always want to lean towards having that other offer, because I've seen a lot of people denied. And just the example Felix gave, it happened to me, mine wasn't increased. So, but I asked. I mean, there's no harm in asking, right? So I got the offer. I really needed the job. I mean, And at that time, it was hard. So when I got the job, I did not sign the offer. I spoke to the HR and I said, can you guys, increase this? I'm bringing this and how. And they were nice. They said, oh, sure, we'll get back to you. Because they already told me that's the cap. Because I got like the highest they were like willing to offer. So they went back and forth and they were like, we're very sorry. That's how much we can afford at this time. Right. So it could have been worse for me if they came and said, we maybe someone else. So let me tell you how I know the interview works. They will always have one person as like their number one, and they will have this second best person. And that's why they always wait for you to accept the offer. So if you're like doing too much and they can just call the next person and say, hey, we're offering you this, are you willing? So if you're noticing that they're making money, like they're doing good. When I joined my organization, they were having pay cuts. The people I met there, they were like reducing their salary by like 15% every paycheck already, because that was like in the midst of COVID when COVID started, that year. So it was really bad. And it would be very insensitive to keep pushing because some people were there, they were not getting enough. But the truth is, after like 3 months or 4 months, my boss called me and said, okay, I know we're not doing well, but we are adding this. I'm so sorry, I'm embarrassed. It's little, but this is what we're adding because of this time. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But this new conversation we are having, but I will say if you, because if I ask again now and they decline, I will feel bad. I would not want to stay in that organization again. Honestly, I would not feel good. So I would prefer to have another offer in other then and I ask. If they decline, fine. I know that I'm moving up. If they don't, good for them. But a lot of times I have seen people, I have a friend who was asking for 130. They denied him. He got an offer in Canada. He was on student visa and they were the one doing visa for him, like permanent green card. So they thought they could hold him down because of that. He has been asking them, I want an increase, I'm doing more, it's very good. They said, no, we don't have money. Then they got this very good offer, in Canada, and they were bringing him with PR. And then he presented the offer. They were begging him to stay, they increased his pay by 40% immediately you know. And whatever he says now, he asks them one thing they've done twice. So organizations are like that. Even when they have the money, they will say no if they feel like you're not going anywhere. I don't know if that makes sense. They feel like he's still with us. So so you can find the best time to talk to your boss. It's more like just asking. There's really no harm in asking. So I would say don't be scared, but think well about it, before you go ahead. That if you're denied, how will you feel? Will you be able to deal with it? If not, maybe you try and get another offer. There are so many jobs out there, I can tell you that. So, very well. That's all I have.
Right, guys, thank you very much.
All right. The next question is, what if you do ask, right? And they tell you they don't have the budget for that. What do you do?
Yeah. I don't know.
You start packing your load and you go.
Yes.
What do you do when you ask and they say no, we don't have a budget for that? Especially what are ideas or ways you go about tackling?
And we ask when they think they would have budgets.
Would they ever have an estimate?
Yeah, they should. If they're telling me they don't, that means they don't have a plan of increasing. That's not good. So they should give
Okay.
me a good reason and say, hey, right now, maybe in the next 3 months or so. And if I can't stay, I will. I don't.
Okay, so one is ask them when the ETA for when their budget would become available. Okay, any other ideas or addition to that? They tell you they don't have budget. What do you do?
Personally, my days are numbered.
Okay, it sounds like start looking for another job. So two
Yeah, that's
ideas. One, ask them for when the ETA will be. The second is to start looking for another job. Okay, any addition?
me though. I know, but that's me.
Anyone else have an addition to that?
People should talk.
Okay, I'm just gonna randomly pick someone. Just give me an idea. It doesn't even have to be a scrum master. Even in the role you're in right now, what would you do if you wanted to have additional offer and or increase and they tell you they don't have the budget for that? What are possible options or ideas you will go about doing? I'm gonna call. Hey, Humphrey, I haven't heard you speak today. Do you want to go ahead? Humphrey Mozangi. Humphrey, are you there? All right, he's not there. He's normally talking. Um,
I can say something.
Go ahead, Tamara.
So probably I'm new to this, but I know that definitely people when they tell you that they don't have this type of thing going on and they don't have that type of thing, they tend to ponder you with too many work on the job and still complain on how you do the job, even though you're doing your very best. They still complain and they'll still not increase it and still keep you constant in that type of pay. And maybe when someone new comes in, they might increase that person's pay and still leave you stagnant as that pay that you were. I mean, I feel like it's usage in all around. So it like since this meeting, people keep saying not settling for less. So in that way, we just have to still like try a luck somewhere else, not try to be in that same constant field. That's what I'll say.
Thank you for that. Any additional input? Okay, to conclude with that topic, we only have 20 more minutes. To conclude, bleh, to conclude with that, one thing that was part of the research too was that it's always important when you're going in with negotiation or talking about those stuff, right? Especially when it comes to budget changes or even negotiating at all. Always have an alternative, right? Sometimes we go in and we don't think about what are other alternatives do we have, or do we just want like, oh, we want money increase, right? Do we have other choices, other alternatives, such as what trainings are they providing, right? That can also equivalent to how much they're paying you, right? Because if you look at it, if they pay you more and you are someone who see yourself growing to other roles, or the more certification sometimes equal to pay, you see yourself growing in knowledge, right? And if you're going to be putting out money to take those courses, that's essentially coming out of your pocket. But is the organization willing to provide those training for you or pay for those trainings for you, right? Those are also other choices to look at. If they're telling you, oh, we can't increase your pay because of ABC or because of budget, okay, what other options do you have to provide to them and say, okay, well, are you guys able to provide this training for me? Or I'm interested in doing this A, B, and Z. Can you guys please go ahead and have give me the ability to do that? Also look at other benefits that they might have. Sometimes I know some organization might have some investments, right, where you can invest on a stock or something. Also tap into that. Do they have any stock or investment that you can also tap into? So those are other alternatives that you can also discuss with them about. Even some organization, PTOs, time off, all of that too can be alternatives, right? Talking about those options. Can you be able to get into those things? I know for contractors versus full time, it can be difficult to start looking at those alternatives, but you never know as a contractor too. An alternative will be, can you guys make me full time? Right, rather than being a contractor. So these are other alternatives that you can start looking into when you're negotiating, or when you feel like you're not getting what you're looking for, right? Tap into all these other choices and see what they can offer within those things. And that requires you to know what other choices does the organization have, right? And what other choices does the people in that organization have that you don't have, that you can be able to talk to them about and hopefully acquire. So that is that. And now moving on to the other question is, what if you are not liked in that organization or within your team, but you still feel like you want an increase? Should you ask for an increase, or should you just respect yourself? Who wants to chip into that? So what if you want an increase? You've been there for maybe a couple months, couple years, and you feel like you deserve an increase. However, you're not the most liked person in there, or they don't feel like you've been doing the best of the best you can do, or even you yourself, you may not even be as confident as you should be because of maybe the dynamic of your team. So what should you do, or should you even think of asking for a raise?
You shouldn't. Simple.
Someone said you shouldn't. Why?
You should just plan your exit.
Yeah, like, I mean, you said it all. What are you negotiating?
Because you're not performing, you know it yourself that you're not performing. So what are you negotiating for? You know you're not the most liked. You're not performing. You know you don't have confidence. So
Why are you there?
you have all the anti patterns to yourself. So what are you?
Right.
I like it, Antipath. They will just be like, oh, we were even thinking of how to, send you.
Exactly. So asking about a salary increase is just planning your exit yourself.
um,
So
the
I
same.
think you should just stay cool and look for somewhere else.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yes, and that's a good point, Vic. Some organizations are toxic, some environments with teams and all. So everything is not all about money. If you get into a place and, it's not like just cool for you, there are some people, that are not cool to work with. I'm trying to use nice words. So, just plan your exits, like Patrick said, before they plan it for you. I mean, it's better to just leave honorably. But jokes apart,
Honorably.
yeah, honorably. Leave when the ovation is still loud. Um, I would say, jokes apart, don't even try to negotiate anything. So the question is, what are you doing there? I mean, you're talking. Okay, Renzi, raise your hands. Renzi, take it away.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just
Oh
waiting
no, no,
for you
no.
to finish.
You
Oh,
didn't?
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do agree that in that situation, it really would be good to make a plan to leave. But I think I would still ask for that raise. And if it is rejected, then get feedback from them as to the reason why. Get those like official reasons, right? Instead of maybe just the word on the street. And then as you're looking for that new job, make sure I improve,
Mhm.
on those skills or whatever it is that I've been told they're not going to give me a raise because of X, Y, and Z. So I'll make sure that I work on that so that in my new role, I can hopefully be a better performer. If I need to get better interpersonal skills, that's something that I would then work on. But yeah, I'm definitely in agreement not to stay where you're not wanted.
If I may just add my little 2 cents, yeah, like if you're in any environment at all, I don't care what kind of job you're doing, and you know that you're not wanted in that environment, whether it's your job performance or your lack of, your social skills or whatever it is, your best bet is to try as possible as your best to get a different job. Should you ask for a raise in that case? I mean, why not? You already know you're on your way out. You can,
Okay.
but just know, like, whatever happens, this is probably not the best environment for you. Because, like, I come from a different background, like, when it comes to, like, I was in the military, and the way they handle, like, trying to kick somebody out of, like, a unit, a company, or whatever,
Mm.
it's a little bit different, and and I assume it's the same in the corporate world. Is they will go behind your back to find something against you. So, like Mary said, you want to get out when the ovation is still loud. You don't want to go out on the other side. So I'll just say, try to get another job as soon as possible.
Thank you for serving, Sheriff.
Thank you,
Sure.
thank
I don't know
you.
how to answer that, but yeah.
He said sure. Sure. Yusuf, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just want to ask this question. When you talk about negotiation, do you consider working remotely or working on site? You didn't mention that. Is it part of the thing you consider for your negotiation? Does it have any impact, on your pay? So I just wanted to talk about it.
Good question. I was gonna ask two questions, and that was one of them, and then we'll wrap up. Um, the second question was what you just asked. Should your pay reflect, or should your pay be different if you work remotely versus if you work on site?
So this has been argued before. I will,
Yep.
because I know that I discuss this every time with my husband and colleagues. So ideally, if you work remotely, you should actually get more because you use your internet.
Really?
Oh
Oh yeah.
yeah, yes. Because the office definitely they pay, for internet and all the other things that you have to use. But at home, you use more because if you actually go to the office, the time you spend at the office, your internet and everything, your electricity, whatever, will not be running, right? But now we do that 24/7. And it's an argument. I think I read an article on that on LinkedIn. But organizations, don't want to do that. But, if you're confident, you know your worth and all of that, it's something you can bring up, at your work. Um, so that's my only argument. But for every other thing, I don't think, because I know some people will come and say, when you go to the office, you also buy gas, you drive and all of that. But even when you work from home, you start working like immediately. You work more. The time you drive to the office, you're not working, right? And the time you drive back, you're not working. But sometimes you find yourself working from morning to like evening, and it's just that you have access to do other things. So, well, I don't know, but that's how I say it. But organizations are not ready. But ideally, it wouldn't be bad. Okay, so I have someone who works from home and he gets internet allowance. So he wasn't getting that when he goes to work, but they give him internet allowance, like every paycheck. Yeah, internet allowance.
From your job?
You said?
You
Yep.
said from your job?
No, not from my job. Yes. So from another organization.
Oh.
And, oh yeah. And he gets internet allowance. I mean, it's cool. Internet allowance.
I know that would be an alternative right there.
Yeah. So
You
as
said, does that answer your question, or do you have feedback as
Yeah,
well?
that's it. That's it. That's just what I want to hear.
Okay, and the last question is, when should you start looking for another job?
when you're tired.
I'm tired every day. Does that mean I should be looking for another job?
Yeah. You're tired of. I mean, okay, it feels like I'm the only one talking, but it is different. This question is different for everybody. What do you want? You want challenges? Are you getting it? You want growth? Is the organization giving you that? You must have a reason why you want to look for another job. It's not like generic that we must look for another job. I know people who have been in a place for 20 years, for 25 years. So there must be something you're looking for. So the question or the answer to that is, once you think you're too comfortable or you think you want more, and it doesn't have to be money in this case, but you think you want more and you're not getting, and there's no potential of getting it, then I always say, just try out. There are always better options. So that's me.
Yeah, I will add to that. Once you start seeing diminishing value, like your work is not being valued anymore, or you are not. But first, let me say it was different for everybody because everybody personally has what they're looking for and what they want to achieve. So, for me personally, I would say once I start noticing, diminishing value, I'm not grown uh, 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 within the organization anymore. There's no added value, and there's no value seen in what I'm doing. I think it's those are signs for you to start probably packing your bags and exiting before they exit you.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? What are other signs that should let you know you should start looking for other job?
I would like to add that if it's a situation where you're in a unhealthy environment, toxic, um, and obviously if you're just in a situation that stresses you out and it's spilling over to your home life, I think that's definitely not a good place to be. And I think another indication would be just when you dread uh, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock every day, um, because of the people that you have to deal with.
So good point is, so it sounds like when you dread having to get up to log in to work every day, um, because of the dynamic of the people that you work with, right? Also, when you feel like you're not being valued or the thing that you're doing is not being valued, when you see that there's no growth in you being there, right? So it sounds like those are some of the pointers that has been mentioned, or to tell you that maybe you need to start looking or to get another job. Any other pointers or ideas?
Or maybe when you feel redundant, feel like you're just doing the same thing like every time. It's not
Iteration?
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I met a lady who is a software developer. She was like being developing software or writing or coding that she feel like she's not giving back to people, that she want to do Scrum Master where she will coach people. Like it's like coaching is a calling to her, so that she's not really after the money, she just want to do it, that is a passion. So that software engineering, she's tired of doing it. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So that's one of the reasons. Maybe it's no longer a passion, you want to change it, something you want to give value to people, pass message to people. I think that's it. That's another reason you can change the job.
It's
So it
actually
sounds like,
interesting. It's the second time this week I've heard that type of story where somebody went from being a developer to a scrum master. I had
Yeah,
an interview
yeah,
recently. The person that interviewed me actually is a Scrum Master. She used to be a developer. She said
yeah,
she found value in this, and
fun.
she felt
Yeah,
more. I was like, wow. I guess
You
everyone
know,
has what their passion.
the church was development was really paying good, but it's hard,
Yeah. Yeah.
so but then that was maybe like the only way. And now someone like my husband is a developer and he loves it. So and me, I never like want to write code. Don't even talk about it beside me. So some people, like you're right. So some people started a job, just as an ends-meet, and now they find their passion. So
Yeah.
and once you don't have passion for what you're doing, you're really not gonna be effective. Development is hard, and we are paid the same. Sometimes Scrum Masters even earn more than some, and
Developers.
yeah, than some. Yeah, definitely.
So are there Scrum Masters that they pay like $250,000 salary?
I've never heard of that before. But...
You must be working with Amazon and Google.
Mo,
250.
Mo,
Okay.
you
But I
should
like
build
money.
your own company and start paying people
Okay. No, Mo
250,000.
You
is
have
in
to do
California.
maybe an
So
enterprise coach or something.
no,
I
Mo
mean,
is in
no, it's
California.
possible.
Mo,
California pays a lot.
Mo, they
California
never
could
use
do it.
you.
Yeah.
They will still use you so that they will pay you that 250.
250.
Interesting.
All right, so that brings us to an end to our meeting today. Before we leave, let's do a little quick retro. So part of it is, what did you get out of this meeting today? And what improvement do you think can be made? So who wants to start? Silence. I should be playing a song about silence.
Yes. Before we do a retro, please, I want to ask a question from you guys that are already working as Scrum Master. If anyone can help, please, how would you manage two Scrum teams?
That's an interesting question that will probably elicit a huge conversation. So let's put that in our parking lot, right? So next
Okay.
Wednesday when we meet, we can tackle that question if that's okay.
That's fine, no problem. Yeah.
All right. So quick retro. We have 1 minute. Who wants to go? Maybe we can have two people and then we'll adjourn for today.
I wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say thank you, Vicky, about this salary negotiation, because I'm not a Scrum Master yet, and like today I had an interview, and they asked me how much they wanted me, how